So believe it or not, this camera, this tiny little plastic, very plastic camera, started my 35mm film adventures and kick-started what I'm doing right here on this channel. It was this one. This, when you hold it, it genuinely feels like a toy. It really does. It's so small and light. Feels like nothing in your hand. The Kodak Ektar H35. My wife and I, we were traveling to Portugal, so we decided to buy this as a bit of a experiment / a little bit of fun. And we hadn't really used anything other than our big digital vlogging cameras for years. I don't know, maybe we were bored, maybe we were getting tired of the old way we were doing things. Maybe we just wanted to try something new and funky. Whatever it was, we went onto Amazon and we bought this camera, which cost around about £50. But would it take good shots? We had no idea. Neither my wife or I had any experience whatsoever of using film cameras. I basically started my career of photography and videos in the digital age. But I must admit, over the last couple of years, I've had this hankering, this need to try it out, do a bit of experimentation and see if it's something that I really wanted to do. And it did lead ultimately to this point of buying this camera on Amazon for, like I said, around about £50. It is a fully automatic point and shoot camera. There are basically no settings that you can manipulate on this thing other than the flash, which, by the way, you turn on simply by clicking the lens around like that. There's a little red light on the back to indicate that the flash is actually on and ready to fire. Apart from that, you load your film in, 35mm, you wind it on, and you shoot. So what else can I even tell you about this thing? It has a fixed 28mm lens, it has a fixed aperture of f8, and it has a fixed shutter speed of 1/100th of a second. There's nothing else that you can really do to this camera to make it take photos other than look through the viewfinder, press the shutter button. And so it kind of reminds me of those disposable film cameras. Disposable film cameras, I do remember those going on family vacations to the Spanish islands when I was a really young child. My family used to buy those disposable cameras. We used to take them away, and sure enough, the photos came back. But that is basically my only exposure to film photography before this. So I was very curious as to how our Portugal adventure would go and how the shots would come out. The thing that this camera is made for is people going on holiday, I guess. So, like, I was going to Portugal, and that's basically why people might want to buy this for 50 quid. So, you know, good for selfie taking with your friends. And so in Portugal, as we usually do when we go there, we were going out to some bars, we were meeting friends, we were eating lots of food, and I had the camera in my pocket. Like, you can see, it's so blooming light and small. It's not really a hindrance to your daily walking around cities and all the rest of it. You just slip it into your bag or your pocket and you don't even notice it's there. I should mention they come in a range of different colours. I thought this kind of, I don't know, puke green looked the best, but there's a couple of other ones. Now, one thing I will say about this camera, first of all, it's not actually made by Kodak, if you're wondering. Another company makes it and they license the Kodak brand. Very smart. And on this particular version of the camera, the lens is actually plastic. And what you can see in a lot of these photos is the image is quite soft. And it is that plastic lens. It's not ideal. I mean, I guess it does the job for this type of thing. Selfies with friends. They actually have an upgraded version, which is, I think, 10 or 20 pounds or dollars more expensive, which has a glass lens. We took out a couple of evenings when we had things that we were going to, because I was curious as to how this would perform in the dark. We went to a concert. It was actually a music festival in Lisbon. And I thought that would be a great opportunity to take that flash and see if it would do anything and light anyone up. A couple of the shots did actually come out, but we lost a lot of shots that night because the flash doesn't travel that far. This camera, with all its fixed settings, does not do well in low light. Least of all when it's total pitch blackness. It just does not work in that scenario. This camera is definitely a daylight camera. There's no two ways about it. If you want to take photos with your friends and you're out at bars and nights and stuff, you need to use a flash and you need to be close to the camera. I would say arm's length selfie only. Coming back from Portugal, I really wanted to go out and about in Edinburgh to see and actually use the remaining shots, because another thing about this camera which is interesting is it is a half frame camera. It takes 2 shots in the same space a normal 35mm camera would usually take for one. And that means when you're holding the camera horizontally like that and you look through the viewfinder, you'll find the shots are vertical because they're actually layering the images vertically, which for the Instagram generation, when we're more used to vertical images anyway, it makes sense, right? That is a vertical image. If you want a horizontal image, landscape, you have to go like that. Well, that's something that's quite quirky for people who have been used to cameras for years. But it also means, importantly, you get double the amount of shots on your roll. So for a 36 exposure film roll, you actually get 72 shots. That is good for many reasons, not least because in these days it costs quite a lot of money to buy film, to process film, and so I can see why that is definitely going to be appealing to people who are coming into film for the first time. Anyway, we came back from Portugal, and I headed out to finish this roll of film, the first roll of film that I put through this thing, in Edinburgh City Centre. Alright, we've got a bit of golden hour light here in Edinburgh. I'm down at the Parliament in front of Holyrood Palace and the Crags. I'm going to take a couple of shots with this. Just a roundabout Parliament. I think I've got 10 shots in here to take to see how it fares at golden hour. Look at that light up there. That's sensational. That is a dream. If I was shooting with any other camera, I know the shots would come out decent. So let's give it a good chance to see how it does. It's been in Portugal. We've had give it a good run in Portugal. Probably took 60 shots out there. Let's see how it does in the golden hour of Scotland. Light right here in Edinburgh's gorgeous capital city. Look at that. How many places in the world can say they've got a site like that right in the middle of the city? If I was comparing this thing on its own, I would say the results were what I expected, really. Soft but fun. They allow you to capture moments in a very retro look. And like I say in the title of this video, this is a camera that has kick-started something in me. You know, as basic as this camera is, there was something about the process of taking the film out of the box, putting the roll of film in the camera, shutting the back, winding it on, and taking shots that just felt so right and intriguing for someone who's never been into film before. There was something about winding the film back onto the roll at the end, taking it out, and then taking it to get developed, and then seeing those photos afterwards. And it absolutely kick-started a revolution for me, in my mind, about something I want to do. I've been taking photos and videos professionally for years now, and film is just something that never appealed to me. But now that I've used it for the first time, I feel like it's opened a new creative doorway for me, and I'm really inspired. And I'm absolutely loving and very excited about what I'm going to be doing in the future now. And it is thanks to this camera. So as much as I could diss this camera for many, many things, and by the way, this camera is so plasticky that it will break at some point, right? This is not a disposable camera. You're supposed to use it many times, but I don't know how many rolls of film you'll get to put through this before it breaks. It will break inevitably at some point. I think that's okay. It makes it kind of like a semi-disposable camera, you could say, right? Something you'll use more than once, but maybe not more than a dozen times. I don't know. Maybe way more than that. But the point is, using this camera, the whole process had me so intrigued, and I'm now ready for more. And I've dove in deeply, in a big way, and invested. But what that does mean, though, is I've had time to kind of compare this with some of the cameras of yore. And it didn't take me very long to realise that some of those cameras are just significantly better. So, you know, on one hand, and it makes me kind of conflicted, right? Because respect for a company, any company who's bringing out a new film camera within the last 5 years, right? And I feel like they should be supported in that endeavour to keep this whole thing going. On the other hand, I think you would just have a lot more fun, understand the heritage, and get way better results if you tried out and invested in something like an Olympus pen, point and shoot, half frame camera, and of which you can find perfectly working conditions for not much more money than what I spent on this. So I'm conflicted, but nonetheless, I need to give this thing respect, right? Because if it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for us making a bit of an impulse buy with this and taking it to Portugal, I would never be on the road I am on right now, this new creative endeavour of shooting with film. So for that reason, I absolutely love this thing. And even if we never shoot with it again, because we have since moved on to better things, I will have this up in a cabinet display somewhere for nostalgic reasons. And I'll look back on it fondly. So that's my story, and that's testing out this camera for you. The first camera review I'm doing on this channel, the first of many. This is going to be a whole new journey for me. I'm very excited about it. If you'd like to see more, please do like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't know if you've got any like old expired film. Maybe you were a film photographer from years ago and you have some old expired film lying around and you want to get rid of it. You could send it my way if you want. I'll definitely review it. Or any other pieces of ancient photographic equipment you don't use anymore. I'll put the details below. But thank you for being here. And stay tuned for a lot more tests of different film cameras, film stocks, and film travel adventures, I guess. And that just leaves me to say, I hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is wherever you are in the world. Take care.